I had been married to Jessica for 7 years when I discovered the painful truth that would shatter everything. We had built what I thought was a solid foundation, a warm home where I felt safe and content. Then she started coming home late, changing small habits, guarding her phone. The signs were there, but I ignored them, wanting to believe in us. When I finally confirmed my suspicions, I made a decision that would change both our lives forever. Before I continue this story, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe to follow my journey through the most painful betrayal of my life. My name is Bertram, and at 35 years old, I thought I had everything figured out. I was a successful software engineer with a stable career, a beautiful home in suburban Seattle, and what I believed was a loving marriage. Jessica and I met at a company mixer 8 years ago. I was immediately drawn to her confident smile and quick wit. She worked for a law firm that handled contracts for our tech company, and we connected over awful catering and shared complaints about corporate culture. Our relationship progressed quickly. Within a year, we were planning our wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony at a vineyard overlooking Puget Sound. Friends and family celebrated with us, toasting to our future happiness. We bought our first home together 6 months later, a charming 2-story house with a garden that Jessica said would be perfect for children someday. The first few years were good, really good. We traveled when we could, hosted dinner parties for friends, and talked about starting a family once we were more established in our careers. But over time, our schedules became increasingly demanding. I was working on a major project that often kept me at the office until late. Jessica was climbing the corporate ladder at her law firm, taking on more cases and responsibilities. We started spending less time together. Date nights became rarer. Weekend getaways were postponed. I noticed the change, but rationalized it as a normal evolution in a marriage. We were building our futures after all. That required sacrifice. The first signs appeared so subtly that I almost missed them. Jessica changed her phone password. She had always used my birthday, but suddenly one day I picked up her phone to order takeout and found myself locked out. When I asked her about it, she laughed it off, saying her company had implemented new security policies. Then came the emergency meetings. Jessica started having urgent work situations that required her attention at night. Sometimes she would get a text during dinner and immediately grab her keys, apologizing as she rushed out the door. I believed her because why would I not? She was dedicated to her career, and I respected that. Next was the wardrobe change. Jessica had always dressed well, but suddenly she was investing in new clothes, more stylish, more attention-grabbing. She joined a gym and became meticulous about her appearance in ways she had never bothered with before. Most telling was the emotional distance. Physical intimacy decreased. The casual touches, the spontaneous hugs, the deep conversations about our days all gradually disappeared. When I tried to bridge the gap, she was present physically but seemed miles away mentally. Despite these warning signs, I pushed my suspicions aside. I trusted Jessica. I believed in our marriage. Until the day I borrowed her laptop to check my email while mine was updating. A notification popped up. A message from someone named Aaron: missing you already. Cannot wait until tomorrow night. I stared at it, my heart pounding. It could be innocent. A colleague. A case they were working on. But deep down, I knew. I clicked away, pretending I had not seen it. But the seed of doubt was firmly planted. The breaking point came when Jessica told me she had a 3-day conference in Portland. I wished her well, helped her pack, even drove her to the train station. That night, I ordered pizza and settled in for a weekend alone. On a whim, I checked our location-sharing app, something we had set up years ago for safety. Jessica was not in Portland. Her location showed a downtown Seattle hotel just 20 minutes from our home. I sat in the dark of our living room, pizza, growing cold, as the reality crashed down on me. My wife was cheating. The foundation of trust I had built my life upon was cracking beneath my feet. I could not confront Jessica with just a suspicious text and a contradictory location. I needed to know the full extent of what I was dealing with. So I did something I never imagined I would do. I hired a private investigator. Martin was a retired police detective who now specialized in infidelity cases. He was professional and matter-of-fact about the whole process, which helped me maintain some semblance of composure during our initial meeting. For 2 weeks, Martin documented Jessica's movements. He took photos, recorded times and locations, and gathered evidence. When we met again, he had a folder thick with information that would forever change how I viewed my marriage. Jessica was indeed having an affair with Aaron, her new boss at the law firm. The affair had been going on for at least 4 months, according to Martin estimates. The evidence was undeniable photos of them entering and leaving hotels, holding hands in a park on the other side of town, kissing in his car in an underground parking garage. Aaron was married with 2 children. From the outside, he projected the image of a perfect family man, community volunteer coach for his son's baseball team, seemingly devoted husband. But according to Martin, who had done some background research, this was not Aaron's first affair. He had a reputation at previous firms for pursuing young attorneys. What cut deepest were the details of Jessica's deception. The business trips that were actually romantic getaways. The late-night emergency meetings that were dinners in private rooms at upscale restaurants. The texts between them that Martin had somehow obtained where they discussed their future together and occasionally laughed about me. There was one exchange that I still cannot forget. Aaron had asked if she was concerned about me becoming suspicious. Jessica had replied, "Bertram is too trusting. He believes whatever I tell him. Sometimes I almost feel bad about how easy it is." Each revelation felt like another knife twisting in my chest. The Jessica, in these photos and messages, was a stranger to me, someone calculating and cruel that I did not recognize. As the evidence mounted, my emotional state deteriorated rapidly. I lost my appetite and could not sleep. At work, I stared at my computer screen, unable to focus on code that had once been my passion. My team leader noticed and suggested I take some time off, concerned about my health. My friend Thomas was the only person I confided in. We had been friends since college, and he had been the best man at my wedding. When I showed him some of the evidence, he was as shocked as I was. Jessica had always seemed so devoted, so principled. Thomas advised me to confront Jessica immediately to have it out in the open. In theory, I agreed with him. The direct approach made sense. I planned to do it that weekend, prepared what I would say, steeled myself for her denials, and then the inevitable confession when presented with evidence. But when the moment came, I faltered. Jessica had remembered it was my birthday, something I had almost forgotten in my distress, and prepared my favorite meal. She had bought me a rare vinyl record I had mentioned wanting months ago. She looked at me with such convincing affection that I almost believed I had imagined the whole thing. I did not confront her that night, or the next. The cognitive dissonance was paralyzing. The woman serving me birthday cake could not be the same one, planning a life with another man. But she was. The final blow came when I discovered Jessica had been using our joint savings to buy gifts for Aaron. Expensive watches, weekend trips, even a down payment on a luxury car lease. Money we had been saving for our future, for the children we had talked about having. One afternoon, while Jessica was at work, I found her journal in her bedside drawer. I had never invaded her privacy this way before, but at this point I felt I had nothing left to lose. What I read confirmed my worst fears. Jessica and Aaron had been discussing their future together. He had promised to leave his wife after some important case was settled. Jessica wrote about her plans to leave me, how she would break the news, how she would manage the division of assets. She had it all planned out down to the weekend she would tell me. It was circled in her planner, just 3 weeks away. I was on a timetable I did not even know existed. That night, as I watched Jessica sleep peacefully beside me, I felt something break inside. Not just my heart, but my faith in everything I thought I knew. The person I had trusted most in the world had been systematically betraying me while planning to discard me when convenient. Our wedding anniversary fell on a Tuesday that year. 7 years together, traditionally, the wool anniversary symbolizing warmth and comfort. The irony was not lost on me. I had made dinner reservations months ago at the restaurant where we had our first date. Jessica called that afternoon apologetic, saying she had an emergency client meeting and would have to miss our celebration. She suggested we reschedule for the weekend. I said I understood. I told her not to worry. I said we would celebrate another time. Then I followed her. I had never done anything like this before, but I knew exactly where she was going. I parked across from the upscale hotel where she was meeting Erin, watching as she entered the lobby. She was wearing a new dress, carrying a gift bag. Her hair was done in the way she knew I loved. I sat in my car for almost an hour numb. Then, I saw Erin arrive striding confidently through the revolving doors. He was not rushing from an emergency meeting. He was smiling, relaxed, stopping to chat with the doorman. Something shifted in me at that moment. The pain was still there, a physical ache in my chest, but now it was joined by clarity. I did not need the confrontation Thomas had advised. I did not need to see Jessica's face crumple with guilt when presented with evidence. I did not need to hear explanations or apologies. I needed to disappear. The plan formed with surprising speed and clarity. I would not give Jessica the satisfaction of a scene. I would not give her the opportunity to twist the narrative or make me the villain. I would simply remove myself from the equation. Over the next 3 days, I executed my plan with methodical precision. First, I transferred most of the money from our joint accounts into a new account under only my name, leaving enough to cover our regular monthly expenses. It was money I had primarily earned, and I felt no guilt about securing it. Next, I spoke with my team lead and arranged for an extended leave of absence, citing personal issues. My company had always been flexible with remote work, and my project was at a stage where I could manage my responsibilities from anywhere. I consulted with a lawyer paid a retainer and had divorce papers drawn up citing irreconcilable differences. I provided all the evidence Martin had gathered, ensuring it was properly documented for the legal proceedings to come. Through Thomas, I found a furnished apartment available for immediate occupancy. It was in a secure building across town where Jessica was unlikely to look for me. I put the lease in Thomas' name to avoid creating a paper trail. With Jessica's schedule memorized, I knew exactly when I would have several hours alone in our house. That Thursday, while she was at her weekly spa appointment, followed by dinner with clients, I packed methodically. I took only what was undeniably mine: my clothes, personal items, important documents, a few family heirlooms. I left all shared purchases, including furniture we had selected together and artwork we had collected on trips. I was not interested in material things anymore. In our bedroom, I placed my wedding ring on the dresser. Beside it, I arranged printed copies of key evidence: the photos, the text exchanges, bank statements, showing the money spent on errand pages from her journal, detailing their plans. I did not leave a note explaining my actions. The evidence spoke for itself. I left only the divorce papers, my signature already in place, waiting for hers. Before leaving, I stood in our living room, one last time looking at the home we had built. The framed photos of our wedding day. The couch where we had spent countless evenings watching movies. The kitchen where we had cooked Sunday breakfast together. It felt like saying goodbye to a dream, more than a place. When I closed the door behind me, I also closed my digital doors. I blocked Jessica's number on my phone. I deleted my social media accounts. I set up email filters to automatically archive anything from her or from unknown addresses. I told only 3 people where I was going: my parents and Thomas. I swore them to secrecy, explaining that I needed space to heal. I did not want Jessica to find me until I was ready to be found, which would be only through my lawyer when necessary for divorce proceedings. That night, in my new apartment, surrounded by boxes and unfamiliar walls, I experienced something unexpected. Alongside the pain, freedom. For the first time in months, I could breathe without the weight of suspicion and betrayal pressing on my chest. I had taken back control of my story. I did not witness Jessica's reaction firsthand when she returned home to find me gone. Thomas filled me in later, having heard from mutual friends who were drawn into the aftermath. According to them, she came home late that night and initially did not notice anything amiss. It was only when she went upstairs and saw the evidence laid out on the dresser that she understood what had happened. Her first reaction was panic. She called my phone repeatedly, leaving increasingly frantic voicemails. When those went unanswered, she began contacting my friends, my colleagues, even my distant relatives found through social media. The story she told them varied. To some, she claimed I was depressed, and she was worried about my mental state. To others, she suggested I was having some kind of midlife crisis. She painted herself as the concerned wife, desperate to find her troubled husband. None of them knew about the affair until one of our neighbors, who had been approached by Jessica in her search for information, mentioned seeing the evidence spread across our bed before Jessica hastily gathered it up. The narrative began to shift. Questions were raised. Jessica's story unraveled further when she confronted Aaron, expecting his support only to be rebuffed. According to a colleague who witnessed the scene, she had stormed into his office emotional and demanding. He had quickly ushered her out, visibly uncomfortable with her display. Word got back to me that she had caused a scene at a company function when Aaron publicly distanced himself from her, making it clear he had no intention of leaving his wife. Her professional reputation, once impeccable, was rapidly deteriorating. While Jessica was facing the consequences of her choices, I was dealing with my own fallout. My inbox filled with messages from friends and family members who had been contacted by Jessica. Some were supportive, asking only if I was safe and respecting my privacy otherwise. Others were judgmental, suggesting I had taken a cowardly path. My parents, though supportive of my decision to leave the marriage, questioned my method. My father, always direct, told me, "Son, I understand your pain, but a man faces his problems. He does not vanish in the night." Jessica's parents, with whom I had always had a good relationship, left angry voicemails accusing me of cruelty. Her mother could not believe I would leave without a word, without giving her daughter a chance to explain. Even Thomas, my staunchest supporter, admitted he thought I should have confronted her directly. "There just seems something unsatisfying about her not having to face you to see what she did to you," he said during one of our calls. The criticism stung, but it did not change my mind. Those who judged my actions had not lived through my humiliation. They had not read those text messages or seen those photos. They had not felt the particular pain of realizing the person sharing your bed was imagining someone else. Despite the social pressure, I held firm to my decision and focused on rebuilding. I found a therapist who specialized in betrayal trauma and began weekly sessions. I joined a support group for people going through divorces, finding solidarity among others navigating similar pain. I established new routines in my new space. Morning runs along unfamiliar streets. Evening meditation to quiet my racing thoughts. Weekend explorations of parts of the city I had never visited before. Small steps toward reclaiming myself. I reconnected with old hobbies that had fallen by the wayside during my marriage. I picked up my guitar again, fingers remembering chords my mind had forgotten. I joined a local climbing gym, finding peace in the physical challenge and focus required. I read books that had been gathering dust on my to-read list for years. Professionally, I threw myself into my work, grateful for the distraction it provided. My team was understanding, and remote work allowed me the privacy I needed. I even started mentoring junior developers, finding that helping others navigate their challenges provided perspective on my own. Months passed. The divorce proceedings progressed without direct contact between Jessica and me, all communication handled through our respective attorneys. With the evidence I had provided, there was little room for dispute. The settlement was straightforward, the division of assets clean. On the day the divorce was finalized, I felt a complex mixture of emotions. Sadness for what had been lost. Relief that it was over. And surprisingly, gratitude for the clarity the experience had provided. In the 18 months since I left, I have built a life I never would have imagined for myself. I moved to a new city, accepted a position with a company whose values align with my own, and formed friendships based on authentic connections rather than convenience or history. I occasionally hear updates about Jessica through mutual acquaintances. The scandal eventually cost her job at the firm. Aaron predictably reconciled with his wife and denied the seriousness of his relationship with Jessica. Last I heard, she had moved back to her hometown, starting over just as I had. Sometimes people still ask if I regret leaving the way I did without confrontation or closure. I tell them that closure is not something others give you, it is something you create for yourself. The truth is, sometimes walking away is the strongest move you can make. Sometimes silence speaks louder than any words could. And sometimes You need to disappear completely before you can truly find yourself again. If you have ever had to make the difficult choice between confrontation and walking away, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Was there a time when you chose your peace over having the last word? How did you rebuild after betrayal? Like this video, if my story resonated with you, subscribe for more real-life experiences and share with someone who might need to hear that sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, your worth is not determined by how others treat you, but by how you choose to carry yourself through the storms.